or night for that matter, to everyone out in the world. Thank you for joining our broadcast today. Second, guys, I was like a little bit rushing to get ready for this. But that being said, how's everyone doing? I'm going to go ahead and knock out this disclaimer. I'm not a medical professional. Nothing I say is intended as health advice. Any major changes you make to your diet or any other aspects of your lifestyle is something you check with a licensed medical provider with before enabling in your own life. Also not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is a recommendation for an investment. And I'm a law-abiding citizen. Nothing I say is a mission of guilt. You guys, I just, due to the whole trolling thing, we were going to experiment with this members only chat. It's only 99 cents a month, and that opens up the chat so that you can ask questions and help lead our adventure into my intuition. Thank you so much, Starbucks Latte. I much appreciate you. Anyways, so if nobody's got any questions or is doing the membership thing today, I guess I'll just have to try to go ahead and say some stuff. I don't know how long the stream will be in that case, but so I did make a title to the stream today, which was, Sam, what's up? You want some attention? Okay, what's up, dude? What do you want? Okay, can you stop? I don't know what you want, dude, but you can't have it. Hey, get down. Get down. Get down. Get all the way down. No, off. Get down. Sam, I'm gonna kick your booty. Hey, like how do you discipline this? Like what do you do with that? Like he knows. What do you want? Can you get down? No? That's a full on no. This is Sam, you know what? The thing about Sam that is I realized the other day is that Sam perfectly reflects, even maybe a little bit forgivingly, my abilities as a dog trainer. He's like perfect representation. Anyway, so cool, we got some chatting going on. What's up? Welcome Cannonball, welcome Noi. Thank you guys for coming. Cannonball, I appreciate you for go ahead and breaking this thing open, because I really didn't want to do it without some kind of participation. So Cannonball says, your fascination with chess also confirms that you have been on a spiritual path for longer than one would think. In chess, you are a strategist, an analogy for the cosmic chess master. The idea of 5D chess ties in with the idea of interconnectedness, parallel worlds, alternate realities. So I am excited to hear your thoughts about it, as it brings us to a very interesting topic. Yes, that's exactly, was so well said, because I was like thinking like that I was being clever with the 5D chess thing, because, I never really heard of that before, but it's cool to know that it's a thing. I just actually was, it was something that came up. I don't know, someone asked something in the last stream about, I don't know what the question was, but the answer that came out was that basically we're just, pieces on the chessboard. Like, we're not the player. It's our higher self is the player. And so I was kind of just, I don't know if you would call it meditating or whatever, but I was doing my deep thinking thing. And that was something that I, when I posted the stream, I was kind of going into. And yeah, really just the way I see it is like, it's like chess is just such a good analogy for life to begin with. This is something that I've actually written about in the past. And one second, I just want to greet the people that just got here. Hey, Robbie, or Bobby, what's going on? I know I'm not in California right now, but I'm traveling at the moment. And just made a little pit stop, got out of the car for a little bit. And Jennifer Ann, thank you for joining us. It looks like we got some good member action going on, and this is going good. I was afraid we weren't going to have anyone to chat, and I was going to have like all the pressure on me by myself. But you guys have came through for me and alleviated the pressure. So back to what we were talking about with the 5D chess thing, and to be honest, I didn't really know until just now that it was like already a thing. But so I'm definitely I'm if whether this is the same or differs from other people's theories about it. I'm not trying to like say anyone's wrong, and I'm not trying to plagiarize anyone either. So however this goes down, I guess it'll be interesting. But so this goes back farther. That triggered a memory of something, which I actually have writing of it from years ago. I probably in like 2016, 2017. But because I wrote it down, usually when I write something, I remember it to some extent, for a while afterwards. And, I wrote this whole thing a while back about, this is obviously way before I really realized that I was on kind of like a spiritual path, but it would be right around the time. I remember writing this either directly before or after, not directly after, but sometime after, somewhat near the lightning event. So I'm going to assume it was before the lightning event, just because I was like fried after the lightning event, and I just can't in my mind really like see myself doing a lot of writing in that state. But it could have been like maybe like a few months after, when I was recovered, because like the stuff directly before the lightning was like some of the worst of the amnesia. So it's weird that I remember this. But anyways, sorry, I'm getting off track. Oh, another interesting thing. So I got to sleep in the same spot last night as where I slept for 30 something hours after I seen the light. So that was also interesting. And I had some weird feelings for sure when I woke up in the morning. But anyways, I'm getting off track. I'm not going to go too off to the side. So 5D chess. The thing that I had written was how much chess like represents life. Because once you start learning chess, maybe somebody knows some chess here, maybe not. So maybe this will be more or less, you'll have to use your imagination if you don't know. But in chess, okay, so actually, you know what? Let's just do it like this. I'll actually contain the chess theory into here for people who are actually interested in chess. So we'll do a twofer right now. We'll talk about chess theory, and we'll talk about how it relates to life. So, and then we'll talk about how that relates to spirituality. We're going to first talk about 3D chess, and then we'll work our way up to 5D chess right now. Does anyone have before we get into that, let me catch up on the chat real quick, because that expanded real quick. Cannonball's theory. Okay, perfect. Cannonball has a theory. They said, my theory, there are billions upon billions of realities out there. If we assume that every move, action, decision we make spawns infinite possibilities, which ripples across multiple lives and timelines, and time is not linear, and in time, science will prove that time can indeed be played with on a cosmic scale, which will illuminate how God operates perfectly and consciously across billions of possibilities and timelines while existing as eternal being outside time. Yes, and there's also, you know, so the way that I also see it is, I agree with literally everything that you just said. And you know, my question is, just to expand upon what you just said, so my question is then, you know, uh like what game is our higher self playing? Because everything is layered and everything is, in some weird way, like a more scaled down version of the same. Like it's a step down, a step down, and a step down, and a step down, right? Just compartmentalizing into um, whatever, which makes perfect sense for an infinite intelligence, right? So that means that, because we're basically, the way I see it is like we are playing a game. Like this is the cosmic game, right? And the way what I came up with the other day when I was thinking about it is, how do you play the cosmic game? And I'm going, well, the thing is like, I got to know what the person that's playing the game, or not the person, or the consciousness that's actually playing the game is. But it should be something somewhat similar to what our game is. So to know our game is to know their game, and to know their game is to know God's game. You know what I'm saying? Or and to know God's game is to know um, the game of the absolute, right? So obviously it's not going to be like, it's like so hard. It's like we got endless possibilities. There's so many side quests. Like, what is the game? And so, to me, I don't know necessarily what the game is, because I don't think that I have succeeded in my task within or in the level that I'm on. So I do think that I know what the level is, and what the level probably most people here are. And if there's somebody who's on a higher level than the level that I'm about to mention, then fucking thank you for being here and gracing us with your presence, because we're happy to have you. So the level that I see right before me, which is the question I need to answer if I want to know what the game is that I need to connect with my higher self permanently and totally, so that I know, so that I can confirm what the game is on the next level, and I can accommodate that. So, what I mean? Like, what I'm thinking is like, I got to think, I got to figure out what chess piece that I am. And so this is what ties back into the thing that I wrote many years ago. So it's kind of goes in kind of like a big circle. And so I know that was like a mouthful, and I said that in the worst way possible. But this is the picture that I'm trying to paint. And so in chess, like, you want to control the center of the board, right? And the reason that you want to do that is because that's where you can project the most power from with most pieces, right? So like, for example, like a knight in the center can attack 8 squares, but a knight in a corner can only attack 2 squares. A knight on the side can only attack 4 squares. Do you know what I'm saying? So in the center of the board, a single knight is projecting the most power, Same with it's going to be the same situation with a bishop. It's going to be the same situation with a queen. It's going to be the same situation with a rook. Like, the center is where the power is, right? And so you know, you got to then look at it like, what is your chessboard? You know, is your theoretical chessboard of life, is it the earth, or is the theoretical chessboard of life you? What's the actual game? You're playing yourself, right? It's the yin and the yang, the good versus the evil, the devil and the angel. It's the, you know, cosmic battle for the center of you, you know, the way I see it. It's not the earth. You know what I'm saying? Like the earth is, you know, it's like one of the pieces on the board. You know what I mean? The earth is the queen. Like this is that's the most important piece and the most powerful piece. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like, um, you know, or it might even be the king, you know, but the board itself is you. You're the board. You're the one getting played, right? And so we have to assume then that that is the same for our higher selves and our highest self. You know what I'm saying? Um, so that means that our job essentially is to, you know, create a position on the board, which is you of your life, that allows your higher self to promote you from a pawn to, you know, a queen or whatever piece is necessary for a positive outcome in the game above. You know what I'm saying? So sorry, guys. A little bit. This is just not the same without being like coffeeed up. But I'm trying, you guys. It'll eventually stabilize. Yeah, outside of time is a big. See, this is a big part of it is the outside time thing, and that's why like our, you know, we're all essentially pawns, you know, in some way as well. It's no, we're not just the board. We're also the pawns, because this is back to the theory that I wrote before. Is like, you know, most people are going to be pawns. You know, there's 8 pawns on the board, and there's 2 at most of anything else, right? But the thing is in the past, you know, if someone asked me, like, what's your favorite piece on the board? You know, the obvious answer is the queen, because it's the most powerful piece. But that's not my favorite piece. Because the thing about the queen is that you have to guard the queen. You can't afford to lose the queen unless it leads to, the only time you can sacrifice the queen is if you know that you can ensure checkmate by doing that, like 100%. You know what I'm saying? Or the other situation when you can sacrifice your queen is when you sacrifice it for your opponent's queen, so that you both lose your queens. You're saying, other than that, if you lose your queen, and if you lose your queen in any other way in chess, you're going to lose the game, like you're most likely, unless like your opponent traded a rook, a knight, and a bishop for the queen, or some crazy thing like that, which happens sometimes. You know, and then you're going to have an even position, anyways. So, but the pawns are my favorite. It's my favorite piece, and the reason why is because a pawn can essentially be any piece. You know, if you know how to move your pawns, you could have more than one queen. Because when a pawn gets to the other side of the board in chess, it turns into anything you want. And so that's like, to me, you know, an analogy for, well, it's been for a long time an analogy for life for me, but it's also an analogy for the spiritual path, because we start off as pawns. You know what I'm saying? We're all just bunched together, and you go start walking down that spiritual path, and it's just like, you know, everything that you considered your support before just starts kind of falling away, and eventually there's probably just one, or maybe if you're lucky, there's two of you. And maybe if you're really lucky, those two will be connected so that one can guard the other one, and that last push to the enlightenment, and then from that point, it's, usually a pretty, it's almost always a one game if you can promote a pawn before your opponent. You know what I'm saying? It's very rare that you can't win that game. So that's basically what we're doing with the spiritual path. If you want to, go back to the original analogy of chess, is that we're just trying to push pawns. We're trying to enable our higher self to push the pawn. So we're either the chessboard or the pawn or the both. I guess maybe the earth is the board. I don't know. We're trying to promote. And yeah, and then so to now make a full circle again of what I said earlier about the queen being a liability, is that like ties into why, and generally speaking, not in all cases, but generally speaking, that the spiritual path is a non-material path, because it's about not having anything to lose. You know what I mean? Like, if you have a queen, you have to guard your queen. You have to protect your queen, because if you lose your queen, you're going to lose. You got something to lose. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes if your back's against the wall, you do a situation where you just trade your queen for your opponent's queen, and you just push the pawns and you get a new queen. And in that situation, you could look at the queen as your ego. Like, first you need the ego death, but you need the ego death to happen in a way that it doesn't lose you the game, right? So you're going to protect your queen when you have it. You're going to protect your ego when you have it. You're going to guard, you're going to guard your ego. But ultimately, you want to slay that demon. You know what I'm saying? You want to relinquish that liability. And so that's kind of what you're looking to do, right? You're looking for a situation where you can trade off that queen for maybe, just even in the best case, a slight advantage. You know what I mean? And what's the slight advantage? How do we get a slight advantage in life? We know how to do it in chess. There's a million ways. You know what I'm saying? We could double up our opponent's pawns. We could, try to, whatever. There's a bunch of different tactical advantages. Minor ones that you could try to get in a situation like that. But in life, that's a totally different story. So how do you trade off your ego then? Without losing the game? Well, in my eyes, my method is flexibility, and that's been like that for a long time. Actually, in somewhat, I'm doing kind of a balancing act with the dog, and that's been like, influencing a lot of decisions for the last, little bit. But ultimately, my goal is to be as flexible as possible, and that's part of the reason why I choose non-materialism, because it's like, this is something that I lived by for a long time, which I learned from being on parole, because I wasn't supposed to be in LA when I was first starting in the industry, because that's not where I was on parole. So for the first 3 years that I was, or well, not first 3 years, first 2 years that I was in the industry, everything that I built up for the first year after I got out, I gave away to the neighbors. And that story is somewhere in the archives. and then I went and I got into the industry. And for the next 2 years after that, till I discharged my parole, I never had more possessions than I could carry. It was just like clothes and computer, like that's all I really had. And I stayed like that for the whole time until I got parole, 2 whole years. And my famous, not famous, but you know, the thing that I said a million times whenever anyone asked me why I was like that is that I always said, if I got nothing, I got nothing to lose. Because I always was afraid that I would, you know, get in trouble for being outside of my parole radius, and then I would just lose all my stuff. So instead I just chose to, you know, put the money in the bank, spend as I, you know, needed to live life. And like I did that for like 2 years straight. And then I became into a more, after that, I started doing life normally, you know, apartment, possessions, started piling shit up. And I just, you know, after moving shit a million fucking times and so much watching shit fucking literally fucking decay and having shit get stolen and everything, like just it's the lesson that I had to learn 20 fucking times. You know what I mean? And honestly, like one of the most spiritual things I think somebody can do, or at least for me, it's like one of my goals is to literally go by the quote, take the quote that's in the Telegram chat at the top from the Tao, take it literally. You know what I'm saying? The best thing you could release is something from your personality or yourself. But barring that, to release something physical every single day is like a win. Eventually you will be there, you know, or you'll at least be in the best position possible for your life. You know what I mean? Because the best position possible is definitely going to be the lightest position possible in almost all cases, you know, aside from money, of course. Let's see. Cannonball says, I firmly believe our higher selves know every move and outcome already. The moments when we feel everything is starting to make sense is proof of this. I think that is more or less true regarding like our lives. But I think that their game is our multiple lives. Like they're playing 1,000 lives. You know what I'm saying? Like a life is a move. You know what I'm saying? To our higher self. Like, you know, and then there must be something, some other thing going on because there's got to be something else controlling that, right? So that's the whole like yin yang situations going on up there, is the way I see it. But yeah, the way I look at that is like one life is like one move for one piece for your higher self. You know, so of course they know everything that's going to happen in our life, but they're playing the game on the way higher level of like, you know, however, whatever the outcome is, you know, there's no limit to the time, obviously. It's just that time is happening. It's the tempo, you know. Noise says, do you think this game is related to what is the purpose we are here? Yes, absolutely. I think that is the purpose that we're here, you know, because, well, I think that the purpose that we're here, or the game that our higher self is playing, you know, it's like, yeah, it becomes more and more incomprehensible as the higher you get up. You know what I'm saying? As soon as you pass like your higher self, it's like your brain starts to melt when you like. I'm I'm not gonna go there right now, but the you got to be in like samadhi or something to try to go into the highest self level of the 5D chess. But in my humble opinion, anyways. Okay, so Cannonball says, at a certain spiritual level, when you're synced with higher self, I think you can consciously move between timelines past parallel lives, universal consciousness, and highest levels, you can navigate all infinite possibilities of existence. I think so. I mean, I think so too. I think that also too, like one way to promote yourself is to stop your aging, which I think is also something that's possible if you can master like your body, and master the secretion, the drip. And I think that obviously like is a big factor in it all. And then I think that that's probably like one of the very first steps for us is to try to master our bodies so that we can expand our lifespans, so that we can have more time to do whatever effect that we came to do. Maybe that's, I don't know, that might be short-sighted actually, but the hey, nope, don't do it. Stop it. Get off of me. Get. Sam, lay down. Lay down, dude. Leave me alone. I'm doing something. No. You're a leg rest. Okay, go away. But yeah, I think it could be something like that too. Like, I mean, I think that, like, for me, there's something I've experienced, and I talked to somebody else that has experienced this before, and there's like a space, and you could, I mean, it's kind of like an advanced lucid dreaming state where you can basically like access, like the training program in the Matrix. Like there's literally like you can lucid dream in a way that's so accurate to real life that it's like a 100% like solid simulation. You know what I'm saying? Like if you know if you master that skill, you know what I mean? Like I've done it before. I just don't have like control of it before, but I've like done it by accident, so I can confirm that it's possible. Um and and I think that that's something kind of like that, because I think that that's more like what you know it's more like what it's probably like, in the dimension above, where it's just like infinite possibilities, you know through thought, like basically like the mastery of that. So the mastery of lucid dreaming would be kind of like one path to oneness in some way. Like, it's just, I guess it wouldn't be permanent so much, but it would be the permanent ability to move between dimensions is what I kind of think that is, just as a theory. So good morning, Zana. Cannonball says travel in light is the only way to fly. Exactly. Noy says it also shows how important it is to have the right queen. Either it pulls you up or it pulls you down. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? You want to be, you got to have the right queen for sure. Like it's it's back to the thing of, like we said before, like one of the main fundamentals of chess is like you got to control the center of the board, right? But there's also like there's other fundamentals that go in with the queen of like, because of the liability of the queen, and this isn't true in all cases, but in most classic chess openings, you bring the queen out late or last, so that you can keep her protected until the pieces are developed, until you know what pathways are going to be open. And then that way you can put her into a position where she can project the most power as close to the center of the board, or whatever is possible. So that's, another analogy, because, we have to get to the center of ourselves before we can shed our ego, right? So we're not going to bring out we first have to purify and get our head straight and get our bodies straight and get our, blood clean. We got to do all those things. The body's a temple, so that we know what kind of game we're playing. So, are we pushing pawns, or are we making power moves with our queen? You know what I mean? For the people that are really super involved in, Earth and stuff. Not just Earth, but like, whatever earthly things we should say. Maybe they're not pushing the pawn. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I'm talking about me when I say about pushing the pawn. But, for some people who are super into doing Earth stuff, yeah, maybe they do want to just bring the queen out and start smashing around stuff with their ego. I don't know. I can't say that's on them, but that's just not my game personally. For me, I'd rather get myself into a position, especially if I can be like up a pawn. If I can be up one pawn, I will trade all the pieces on the board. And then I know that if I have a one pawn advantage against an opponent, and they have, neither one of us have any pieces, that most likely I'm going to end up with a queen in the end. A really powerful queen that's completely unstoppable. And that's like my go-to strategy in chess is, to open up, control the center, try to get at least a one pawn advantage. And then from that point, I will just basically like send all my pieces on like unavoidable suicide missions that force the opponent to trade for everything. And then I'll push pawns until I get to promote a piece, and then just end it. So that's like my strategy when I'm playing chess. Of course, I'll adapt to whatever I have to do, because depending on what the opening is that your opponent chooses, like, you could have a completely different kind of game, or just any one move could change everything, right? But before we move a single piece, my go-to strategy is a aforementioned pawn advantage and trade everything off. Very minimalistic approach, but it's it's a hard game for the opponent, for most opponents anyways. Sam Cannonball says, higher selves playing multiple games lives. I often wonder about this. For example, I get a feeling that I have experienced a specific moment that I haven't actually seen or experienced. It feels like a highlight or a refrain from the song that echoes across multiple timelines, or like a thread that runs through my lives. Then at other times, I feel like I have access to knowledge and feelings far beyond my current experience, and I can't tell if this is parallel life or branched off of the main film. I 100% know what you're talking about, and I have the same exact experience. Like, I have like random, sometimes like, it's usually associated with other weird random events happen, and then it's like all of a sudden there's like a memory installed of something that's like never really, or that hasn't happened, at least in this lifetime. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And sometimes it can be really intense, and it can be a lot of information. but it's like also too, like as time goes, I don't know, maybe you've had this experience or maybe not, but like I feel like the more, like if I'm totally no caffeine, no weed, just totally clean, and I'm doing yoga and I'm like really just in the zone, I'm not like on social media, I'm just pure. The more pure that I get, the more that like it flows fluidly, like, and it's like you can probably, like, for sure you can see it in certain streams and stuff when I'm like in that moment, like especially if I'm like fasted and stuff, like it's like it definitely like creates like a connection, I guess, where instead of like the random stuff like uh getting installed in like whatever, it's like it's like there. I don't know how to explain, but I think you definitely probably know what I'm talking about, because I can just tell by what you're saying. Like I that was like well put, but I know exactly what you're talking about. um Live our lives to the fullest. Exactly. It's really about, yeah, like you need to have the, like, I mean, to it's have the live your life to the fullest, and you know um put the icing on the cake by making as many other people's lives better in the process of doing that as possible as well. Just be something good. And I think that kind of part of the, with the multiple lives, our higher selves playing multiple lives kind of a thing. I mean, I think, it's like you can go up a step from that too. So it's like, if you're one piece, right? Or and well, it would be like your higher self would be one piece, like maybe your higher self is, whatever piece on the board, and then um one life is one move. So you're just one move of your higher self, one move and one piece. So that means that we still haven't even gotten to the player yet. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is how, where it really, like, that's what I was saying earlier, is like, it's like starts getting like, mind blowing when you think about it like this. Because if you are one move, if your whole life is one move of one piece, then your higher self is the piece. So who's moving that piece? Well, who's moving that piece is the player who's moving all the pieces. You know what I'm saying? Meaning all of our lives, but not just all of our lives and all of our previous lives and all of our future lives. So it's like the game is like, and that is the greatness of God, that's the thing, but then what you got to realize is like, then who's God playing against? There's another player, right? And then, yeah, and then so what's is there a game beyond that? I don't, I'm not even trying. I'm not gonna. That's where you get to like, the Tao. It's like there's no point in trying to talk about it, because it's one of those, if you know, and if you don't know, you it's not explainable. um Cahill says, like a spin-off series or alternate boards in 5D chess, or a previous life, or a connection to someone else's memories, consciousness, or I'm just accessing archetypal experience stored in our shared universal consciousness, and exciting to sync with these refrains, dimensions, and offshoots as well. I've actually considered that as well too. Like that like that's actually, you just brought up a really good point. So this is something else I was thinking about. And it's like, yeah, I actually do think it's kind of like an archetypal uh thing, because I think that that's what, like, basically being saved or forgiven or enlightened or whatever you want to call it you know, they got a million different terms for it, but like I think that that means that you become one of those. You know what I mean? So it's like your consciousness is now a thing that it's like in certain situations, like that's like now one of the, you know, it's like that's the point is like, you know, you promote the piece and it's like now you have, create a new piece of what you need. And that means like it's been like archetyped, you know, or archived, should we say. An archetype is an archive, you know, of a consciousness, is the way I see it. So, and that's what I think, like, you know, like, I think that that's something that I've done, for example. Like, I think that, you know, you can access the consciousness, like for example, like I think that we're all are like our real bodies or our consciousnesses are actually, you know, like astral bodies or celestial bodies, however I don't know how the terminology is, but like planets and things, stars in a lot of cases. You know what I'm saying? Um and you know that's where our real self is, and that we're like, you know, avatars of that, right? um but I think you can also access those consciousnesses. That's like what these, you know, it's part of it. um and but that you can also do it, like, you know, say like Christ consciousness is a common theme for people, and I think that that's something that can literally happen. You know, you're meditating, you know, on this, you know, civilized um this memory of a person, and you can connect with that consciousness and download it. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't had that personal experience myself, but I've had that with like like I think that that's what happened when I went to um Prabhupada's ISKCON temple. You know, like I went there and then like I was in like a really high emotional state. Um, you know, because I listened to the ladies talking about him, and like I just like remembered, like, you know, there's a bunch of like 70, like 80-year-old women were like, you know, reminiscing about him, like however long, 50 years after his death or whatever it was. I don't know the exact years or whatever, but like, um, and it just like touched me so much. And like I was just like really like, it's just like I was like feeling like so much love for this yogi. I'd never even you know, I'd seen his picture and stuff before, but I didn't know anything about him before. um you know, and I did the whole ceremony and all that, and it was like 2 days later, I was still thinking about the guy. I was like thinking about him for like the last 2 days. And then that's when I had that whole like Earth Star thing where I like went to the Earth. But it's like right before that happened, like I heard his voice. I don't know if it was accurate to what his voice really sounded like because I don't even know what his voice, but it's like I felt his presence, like in multiple, in an inexplainable way. And he told me something, you know, and then the what after, as soon as I heard him say that, like that's when it triggered that whole experience. That was, you know, there was another one the following day. So it was like a major event. It was like as if I accessed his consciousness, and it like brought me up, you know, like some of the things which he knew. I suddenly started, because I was like all of a sudden, like literally like within a couple days, like I was like, it's like I didn't know anything about yoga, and like next thing I know, like I went and I'm like all of a sudden, like I just know yoga. Like I'm down on the beach, like I destroyed myself, like in a way I've never been so sore in my life. Than going and just randomly downloading yoga and be like, oh hey, this is cool. I can do all kinds of stuff. I like fucking stick to walls even. Like this is crazy. Like this is like awesome. You know, and I think that that's what happened with that. You know, is that he let me um feel his consciousness for a little while, and it's like, you know, when you take on someone's, you know, a consciousness like that, you get to learn from them, for a little bit. And so that's the way I look at it. But you got to be really careful because, you access a consciousness like that. And, you don't want it, I mean, it's better than your original demon ego, but, there's such thing as a spiritual ego as well, which you have to be careful of because it's harder to get away from the spiritual ego than it is to get away from, the demon. Shared universe. Wait, 1 second. Like a spinoff. Oh yeah, shared universal consciousness would be sync with these reframes. Oh yeah, we already read that. Xana says, but Sam wants to make out. Yes, he does. He always does. He's pretty much always down to make out with anybody. He's very fluid in that way. Cannonball says, lucid dreams can indeed feel more real than real life. In fact, in lucid dreams, I have experienced things I have never experienced in life, and when I eventually did it, I really was the same as in the dream. Yeah, exactly. That's an experience that I've had too. Like a real lucid dream, like you can impose, real physics into it, and you don't have to be a physicist or super genius or anything like that. Like it's like the same energy which is running the endless physics math algorithm of 3D world is totally available to make sure everything's accurate in your lucid dream state as well. So that's definitely something I can confirm. Noi gifted 10 Bruce Venture memberships. Oh wow. Noi. That's so nice of you. That is so nice of you. I didn't even know that was possible, but wow. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Email Nielsen, Knight of the Brotherhood, Baby Yellow, Matt, JB. Welcome to our stream. You guys can chat now. Noi just brought you guys on board. That was awesome. Zana says, the more we know, the more we understand, we know nothing. Exactly. This is the key. Honestly, that is the pivotal moment when there's really, I feel like, no turning back, is that when you make that realization, not just to say it, but to know it, like to where even if you've heard it 100 times, you still come to, I think most people would agree, eventually at some point you come to that conclusion yourself again in a different way. Like it makes sense the first time you hear it, but it makes more sense at some point down the road when you start understanding a little bit more and you're like, okay, this is fucking just, you gotta unlearn the language. The best, you know what I'm saying? If you want to try to comprehend everything, it's like you gotta just forget how to talk. You know what I mean? Because it's like it doesn't go into words. You know what I mean? And you still won't. You'll still never probably get it while you're in this body, but you know what I mean? Or maybe you will if you 100% mesh with your higher self. But anyways, but like from where I'm sitting right now, it's hard to imagine. Even with everything that I've seen and whatever, it's like I try to comprehend. Like my really crazy thought that I had yesterday was I was thinking about all these like cosmic bodies, right? And I was also thinking about like I had a friend that was like explaining to me about Gaia, the tree of life, because I had seen like a diagram of it. And also that just reminded me of another weird thing that happened last night actually. But I was anyways it reminded me of the whole chakra system, but it also like in some way kind of better represented what I felt in my own body. Because I kind of feel like a connection such a strong connection between the heart and the throat, and between the sacral and the root, that they kind of almost feel like one center to me, but it's like one center with like two parts, I guess, because there is obviously like very strong sensations in both spots, but they always happen kind of alternating or at the same time. One usually works with the other in both cases for me. So even though I can distinctly feel it in two different spots, but I feel it in two different spots at the same time when those are active. So anyways, that interests me. But then I seen a different diagram of the same thing, but it caught my eye because I had already, made the previous connection. And then I seen one that had like the planets attached to them as well. Anyway, so I asked my friend who knew about that, and he was explaining, and I was telling him about my whole experience and everything. And he was when I told him about the solar plexus thing, he told me that was your soul. He's like, that's your soul. You know that, right? I was like, I did not know that, but that's very interesting, because all these other, experiences that I had were very pleasurable experiences. But the solar plexus one was not a pleasurable experience. In fact, I felt like I almost, like I said, I really thought I was going to catch on fire. Like my skin was steaming, like I had 100 and whatever fever, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't even know how high. Like, I mean, I was literally steaming, that hot, whatever steaming level is. It's like, and the visual that I was having in my, mind's eye when that was happening was like of this, I've told this story before, but I'm recapping, of this whole like octagons beating made of plasma, like almost kind of like almost as if as if the surface of the sun was covered in octagons, kind of, but like beating like super hot, like giving off like mad energy, right? And when I looked down, when I was in this like fever dream, like I could see this like little sun thing, like a little ball, plasma ball, like sticking out of my solar plexus right here, right? And I'm like literally going like, fuck, I'm gonna catch on fire. And then I've, having later on the realization that there was, like when I had I had this weird Jupiter thing with, like, as Cannonball was explaining earlier, it's like there's things that come attached that are like memories. It's like, it's not like you've seen them, but it's like you remember seeing it, but you didn't see it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, and that happened when I had the whole thing where I did see, looking down the earth and through everyone's eyes, and I felt the huge big cosmic love and all that. That for some reason, like I couldn't stop thinking about the big red spot on Jupiter afterwards. I just couldn't stop thinking about Jupiter afterwards. Like some part of me like knew that was Jupiter energy. Like when the light came, the first, that whole experience, like it's like something about me like knew that it was the moon, because I kept having this vision of like this huge super moon that I thought I was seeing a full moon that day, but it wasn't a full moon that day, but I remember seeing it. Like, it's a weird thing. And obviously, like when I merge into the earth, I think we all know what that's about, right? But like but I never, my big question was like, I didn't understand like the solar plexus thing. I was like, man, the sun, like that just doesn't, it just, I don't know, it was just like weird. It was like, was that me connecting to the sun? But now I realize that I think that was actually me, because my friend told me that's your soul, is your seat of your soul is right there, right? And so I'm going, oh, so I guess, it supports the whole theory of that we have celestial bodies or astral bodies as well. It's like my real body out there somewhere is a star, it's burning up. And so that's what I think that I was like feeling for a second, or what that whole experience like represented, And yeah, I don't know. Let's go back to the chat and see what's up. Cannonball says, for me, it's about motion. My thoughts are clean and I feel tuned into my higher self as long as I keep moving, not spending too much time in one place or changing my location as often as I can. No amount of fasting has this effect. If I really stay in one place for an extended amount of time, I try too fast, but being in motion, traveling across space is what makes me feel healthiest in every sense. Thank you for another donation, Noi, and thank you. Welcome, Sarah. Thank you for joining and becoming a participant in our conversation. Cannonball says, if we look at everyone as a separate universe, I believe we can cross over into someone else's experiences and consciousness in the multiverse, either voluntarily or involuntarily, in a vicarious way. I guess this can also be explained through astrology if we look at our horoscopes as our unique blueprints and sheet music of the soul. The word resonate takes on a whole new meaning when we say resonate with someone's ideas. It is all vibrational. Our celestial DNA is mapped out in constellations. So the horoscope is essentially a capture of musical vibrations of the cosmos, the moment of your birth. You know, it's interesting that you say that too, because that was also like some kind of like part of the, I don't know, download or whatever that I got when the very first light thing happened. You know, was that like that sound of harps that I heard, that it was, you know, that's what everything was made of, was, you know, these tones or vibrations of light and sound. Because at the same time I was seeing the whole like spinning gold tunnel of light thing, and hearing this thing, and you know, obviously that was one of my main questions afterwards, so I got an answer to that, and that was what everything's made of. So yes, I totally get it. So interesting. Though I never really thought of each person, I mean, as I mean, I guess it's actually an interesting concept to think of each person as a whole universe. I haven't actually considered that. You know, like I've kind of more thought of as like everything kind of like it's like overlapping. You know what I mean? Like in an effort to like conserve as much energy as possible, right? Like so it's like each deviation from, I don't know. It's I can't word that. But the um fuck. Sorry, my brain's going like all over the place now. Yeah, that's a lot to think about. I'm gonna go ahead and just chill with that. So, Lefty Power says, hello, Bruce. You look really relaxed. Maybe it's the good natural light or the fluffy pillows, but you look like you came from the spa. Well, thank you. You know, I just took a nice shower, you know, and I slept really good last night, and um, yeah, I feel good. I feel good. I'm also too, you know, I'm kind of in like the part of my caffeine detox journey where like I'm still pretty sleepy a lot. But I'm like starting to like get a stabilize and come a little better. But you know, like I woke up at like 3 o'clock this morning, and then I went back to sleep at like, I don't know, 5, and then I slept till 8, and probably I'll go back to sleep in a little bit after this stream. So um yeah, I'm like kind of in a pretty like chill gear. We're cruising. We're in a low rider right now. Sarah says, do you think the night piece represents in life that also, who do you think the night piece represents in life that also transcends spiritually, as this is the only move the queen can't make? That's a great question, Sarah. Well, okay, so I'll first answer in my old way of what I wrote before I had my spiritual way of looking at things. So previously, like I always thought of the night as a representation of um, uh, what, how did I say it before? It has something to do with it being able to jump over pieces is like a central support here. So I don't actually remember, but the knight. I mean, I guess I'm just gonna have to think about it right now. So the knight can jump over other pieces, which is one of the really significant features of the knight, right? But the thing that kind of makes it like the weakest of all the pieces on the board, aside from the pawns, is that what I mentioned earlier of like how much it diminishes in power based upon where it's positioned. So if the knight's not in the center of the board, the knight is not in a good spot, because again, like if it's too close to the edge, it can only attack 4 squares, and if it's in a corner, it can only attack 2 squares, right? So um I guess the knight would represent hmm, I don't know, maybe, I mean, I guess on the spiritual level, like the knight maybe represents like initiation, you know, because all the other pieces, like you at least have to move one pawn to get them out. You don't even have the opportunity to move them until you move a pawn. The only thing that you have only 2 options from the beginning of the game. You either move a pawn or you move a knight, because the knight is the only one that can jump over a piece, right? Um, so I guess that kind of ties back into what kind of game are we trying to play? Like, are we trying to play an aggressive game? Um, where we're gonna just start making moves and hope we don't get backed into a corner? Or are we going to, you know, take it slow and play it solid and try to, you know, get some pawns out, get um, some more pieces onto the board before we, uh, you know, start hanging stuff out there. The I always think of like, yeah, it's like, of course I can always only look through my own perspective, but um, I mean, even though like, I think that part of the reason why I initiated is because I had been fasting and had, been working on my emotions and all these other things, but just for completely separate reasons, just for my own benefit rather than um any kind of like spiritual motive. But definitely I could have been better prepared if I would have known everything I know now. That is kind of, you know, abstract, but it's whatever. So I guess in some way, yeah, the knight would represent initiation, but also just initiative in general. Um, and I don't know. It's a good question, but I would have to think harder about that. It's also an interesting feature of the knight is that with a king and two knights, you cannot checkmate the king. Like you can do it. It's pretty much one of the hardest checkmates that you can do, or it's the hardest checkmate in chess is two knights versus a king and a pawn. So the guy that you're playing against has to have a pawn as well. You never want to kill the last pawn if you have two knights because it's when that pawn moves, it stops it from being a stalemate for the last move of the game. So, but the second hardest that's possible is a knight, a bishop, and a king versus a king, right? But two knights and a king can only draw the game. They can never win. And so that's an interesting feature of the knight as well too. So I guess I mean in some way the knight really does it's just a feature of the whole thing. I don't know. Yeah, it's just an aspect of the ego, pretty much. Leffy Power says, you have green eyes or greenish blue gray? I have mostly greenish eyes, but it has like blue on the rim, and so it kind of looks like that sometimes. Zana says, Jupiter energy. Some experience you had burning up star. Yeah, it was pretty weird, right? But it's one of those things like you really gotta like it's like if you figure out what I'm talking about at some point, you'll understand it super rapidly. Sam, please, dude. Campbell says, I have a vivid image of God in my mind as this raving, maniacal music lover who composes and orchestrates a cosmic musical masterpiece as it means to express himself, to experience himself, to entertain himself and delight in his own genius. Just something to think about. So there is music in the universe for sure, and it's interesting. You mentioned this before, relation to your awakening. Well, also too, just think about I guess you are probably thinking about this based on what you just said, but what I think about a lot is just that, imagine how lonely it could be to be a singularity. Like, imagine you're the ultimate intelligence and consciousness, the absolute of all things. Like, it's like you're the genesis, you know what I mean? It's like, you got eternity to come up with all the best things, right? And if you want to come up with all the best things, like, how bad do you want it? How far would you go for all the best things? Would you go this far? Would you go Earth status in your pursuit of irony, comedy, brutality? Maybe you would. I think you would, to be honest. I actually definitely do. Noy says, I'm very sorry I have to go, Bruce. I will watch the recording later. Anyways, love the talk. Wish you all the best. Noy, yours been so awesome today. Thank you for all the gifts of everyone's memberships and the donations and everything. And I'll love to hear what you have to say about the recording later. Have a good day, and hope whatever you're doing goes well. Leffy Power says, Bruce, actually, you look like a knight from medieval romance, like the Knights of the Round Table. Actually, your original name is the Arthurian legend. That's cool. I've got some, there's some, I'm like a third Scottish or something, so. Um, let's see. Xana says, I don't doubt your experience. I just find it fascinating. I'm just in my absorbing stage. Totally absorbing stage. Yeah, I guess there was an absorbing stage for me too. I mean, I just didn't even, I think that I was kind of absorbing at a point when I was probably more skeptical than maybe you are right now, but I was still really skeptical while I was absorbing. It's like, it's so weird. Like you can see like the craziest things, like right with your own eyes, and it's just what's more amazing to me than like whatever I've realized now is like the fact of like the things, like how high of a level that it had to go to before I realized that my rationalities for other things that I had seen 100% or noticed 100% was off. Like it's like I don't know. It's like I was literally like it's like damn, I was pretty pretty fucking aloof, right? Like it's amazing how your mind can rationalize things. Like fucking hey, who needs the government to tell us stories about swamp gas and weather balloons and shit? Like we'll gaslight ourselves, no problem. Like you fucking do it all the time. I'm not you specifically. I just mean like people in general. Like I do it all the time. Like it's like obviously like in the last whatever, like my mind has expanded and now I'm just open to everything. I pretty much disregard anything that I thought that I ever knew or that they ever taught me or whatever's posted on the internet. Like I'm skeptical of all that and I'm open to everything now. But just because yeah, I can't, nothing surprises me at this point. But I forgot the point of that. Anyways, I'm gonna say it. And then Ken says, I have a different theory as to how and why we're here, but it's long and highly original idea you cannot share. Okay. Well, thank you for the dangling the carrot. We'll just have to use our imaginations. Zena says, I passed the skeptical stage a while ago. Yeah, okay, well that's good. That's good. I was in it, I was like in it for a long time. Like I was like literally like I was real skeptical. Um, but it's that's kind of part of the thing though. Like I'm honestly, because of my own the realization of how much that I clung to the skepticism, is kind of like one of the reasons why I'm like kind of going so extreme in my you know display of surrender, by doing these streams and letting myself go natural and everything else, the walk and the walk aspect of everything. Like it's really super important to me personally because I know how skeptical I was. And, you know, like my introduction to all that was like in Tulum, where there was a bunch of very like pretentious spiritual type people there and whatever, you know what I mean? Like, so it was like it added to my skepticism because I seen money surrounding it. You know what I mean? At that point, and I'm going like, there's something's was not right about that to me. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I can't buy it. So, and I still, I have whatever feelings about that still now, but but I just have a different way of looking at it because I know more about what their motivation is there, because it's like I know that just the smallest taste of what we're talking about is something that, yeah, like there's you never stop wanting more. You get like one little, it's like it's the perfect drug, and yeah, there's that. So that's part of my motivation there. Let's see, Levy says, what kind of music did you listen to before you stopped listening to music? I would think classic rock or psychedelic rock, but do you have a favorite band or singer? Yeah, I think that my playlist is probably public on Spotify from, I guess, what is that, 2020? This is 2024, right? So it would be my 2023 Wrapped list on Spotify. My name is Bruce Venture XXX on Spotify. I don't know. See if you can find that. I think if you can, you'll probably see a couple of my Wrapped playlists on there. The last couple have been quite different. Like I was into like foreign. I was trying to like learn languages and stuff like the year before, but my last one was more like a grungy psychedelic rock kind of a thing. Yeah, I guess you probably got that. It was a little bit. I was also going through like a whole like process of gassing myself up that year to like escape my domestic situation. So you'll probably notice like a theme in that regard there as well. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have a. Well, actually, I think currently my favorite. I mean, I really like that. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say I currently really have a favorite. I'm still kind of experimenting with like new music now, but I don't. I rarely ever listen to it. Sam, lay down. Leave me alone, dude. Please. But please lay down. I don't remember what I was saying. Oh yeah, but before it was. I don't know. It's like I really just like one album, but the album with "Don't Wake the Lion" from Ron Gallo is probably like my favorite album of all time. Like I just love that album so much. Like it's a fucking masterpiece. But yeah, that's the thing. So I guess I got to the bottom of the chat. That was actually honestly way better than normal. Like I'm all about the membership only chat. We got all goodies here. We got good engagement. We got good topics. We had no trolling. Like this is where it's at. We still had pretty decent traffic. I'm gonna go ahead and call it unless anyone else got the last minute question. You guys were at the bottom of the chat. This is the last chance. My animal, dude. Look at this thing. What a fucking beast, dude. All right, guys. I guess. Yeah, how was it, you guys? Sorry, I was a little. I know it was like this is another one of my like slow days, but you know, maybe in the future we'll see. We'll have maybe do some coffee streams, but for now we're in the slow lane. So, I'm glad. I hope you guys enjoyed. And don't forget to subscribe. Turn on your notifications. Tonight at around midnight Pacific time, if you guys want to if anyone's meditating, think about me, because I will be as well, and I'll be thinking about you. And because today is the 1 year. It was this day last year at like right at midnight. Sam, stop then, dude. Lay down. Right at midnight that I had that whole unconditional love experience. So this is that day. This is the anniversary of that. You all right, buddy? What happened? So yeah, it's gonna be a special night for me. I'm gonna go howl at the moon or whatever. And if you guys feel like going and howling at the moon, just know that there'll be at least one other crazy person out there doing that at midnight. Yeah, slow lane after the turkey. Hyper coffee streams. Yeah, exactly. Sam, you gotta stop. Lay down. Okay, guys, I gotta go. I think the dog's begging for food. I'm not sure what his issue is. He's like freaking out, but I'm gonna go. Thank you for joining my stream. I love you guys. I'll probably see you in a couple days, and wish me luck. I think this is the final stream to where I'll become officially full-fledged, completely signed off as a YouTube affiliate. So much love, you guys. And I also predict that their streams should continue to be a lot more regular before. I'm going to try not to have like the big gaps anymore, because I guess, everything here just got a lot more serious. I was trying not to, I was trying to stay present, wasn't trying to think about today too much. But the crazy thing is today's literally my universal love 1 year anniversary, and it's also, I'm ticking off my 4,000th hour of viewing on YouTube on the same day. So there's a little synchronicity for you guys. And you will definitely see me soon. And Sarah says, why do you think chess, the king is quite limited, with the goal to be the last piece standing at the cost of losing the queen? However, in life, the king protects the queen and historically led an army in war. Well, I think that's because, I mean, it's like because I think the king represents karma. And, that's what limits us. And that's also like the one unavoidable, rule and feature of the game, is that the player that's moving the pieces is virtuous and values virtue. And so the game that the player is playing is, karma on a cosmic level, so, and then whereas, our higher selves are playing the game of karma on an earthly level. That's the real game. It's not the game of chess. It's just, chess is our analogy for the game of karma. But the real game that we're playing is not chess. Chess, we're just making a representation between chess and the game of life, and the game of life is called karma. And so the king represents karma, and because of the way karma works, karma is the one unavoidable truth that you know, it comes down to that. That's the nature of the game, is you know, don't get checkmated. You know, don't get stuck in the loop of reincarnation on life. You know what I mean? Like, just, you know, you got to eventually discharge that karma, you know? I don't know. That's just off the top of my head, but I got to go. So that was like a quick answer. You know, I'm sure we could reframe that in 10, 20 different ways and use this analogy over and over again and have a different stream every time. But yeah, actually, you know what? Matthew says, what will we talk about next time? Can we have a poll? That's such a good idea. So let's do this. Everybody make sure that you're on Telegram. Go to the Telegram general chat and make suggestions for things that you want to stream about. And then I will post a poll of the best suggestions on YouTube. I think there is a way to do a poll. If not, then there is definitely a way to do a poll on Telegram. So let's get some suggestions, some ideas. I'll come up with some ideas as well. I will do a poll. And yeah, let's see what we can come up with. But I want to hear your guys' ideas too, instead of me just making them all up, because this is really not about me. I talked about me about 10,000 times more than I ever intended to in my whole life already on here. So I really want, you know, I want to answer what you guys want to talk about. You know what I mean? Assuming that it's within terms and conditions, which I think most of the people here, it will be. But there's definitely, that had to be said for some people, because, you know, they're out there. Anyways, I love you guys. Adios. Thank you for having me. Bye.